Hello and welcome. My name is Brenda. My channel is Handwork Maniac. Today is Thursday, December 30th, 2021. So I'm going to show you the progress I've made since the last video, the few things I worked on. And then we'll talk about my stats for 2021 and what my plans and kind of rotation are for 2022. Oh, and I do have one finish and one new start, sort of. My finish, let's do that one first, is Shine On out of the Bonnie and Camille Quilt Bee book. So this is a quilt book to make this quilt by Bonnie and Camille Quilt Bee book. And in the very back, they have one cross stitch pattern in it where they converted the quilt pattern to a cross stitch. It's called Shine On. There's calls for Cosmo thread, and you can buy this. I got my book, and I know they also have the pack of Cosmo thread at Fat Quarter Shop, their website. I did mine on 18 count Ada with sulky thread, SULKY 12 weight thread, just because I wanted to try it out. So I just picked colors of sulky that were extremely similar to the Cosmo colors, and I finished it. It doesn't have this red and white border around it. But in the picture that I just showed you, they matted it with some red and white striped fabric around the edge, and I just thought it looked so nice as a border that I went ahead and stitched that red and white border on there. It's just a very simple, I just stitched the red. I didn't stitch the white. So that one is finished. And then I've mostly worked on Autumn Town and Peaceable Kingdom and Shine On since my last video, because I was trying to get those finished by the end of the year. But I also worked at, I had two new starts. I started Cricut Collection Winter with two of my friends, Kim and Sharon. Here's what it will look like when it's finished. I'm using the called for colors on 32 count Country French Rain. There's a model of this hanging on the wall at Shepherd's Bush in Ogden. And they did a little bit of a conversion where the main letters that have the big blocks of color that are in the main letters, they converted those to an overdyed thread. So I am using mostly their converted colors. There was one I didn't have, so I substituted a different color. And I might substitute a few more as I go, I don't know. But this is all I have, the first part of the W. I don't even have the chimney in yet. That goes right there on the W. Two strands of floss over two fabric threads. And my New Year's New Day start, which I always start early because my Christmas winter break vacation ends like on the 3rd. I have to be back to work. So I always start my New Year, New Day start at the beginning of my vacation. And I started this, but I'm not happy with the fabric. So I have ordered some more fabric, and it's not here yet. So I have sort of started it and sort of not. It's called Grand Marcour by de Isabelle Hicourt Batier. I got this off the internet years and years ago. It was a mystery stitch along at the time. You can still purchase this at a website in France, I believe. The model photo is in reds. I'm doing mine in blues. Here's the A that I started with. The pattern calls for two colors, a red and a gold accent, I believe. I'm going to try dark blues and a white sparkly thread for the accent. I have 3 different threads on there right now, trying to decide which one I like the best. I would like this fabric to be a little darker of a gray so that the sparkly white shows a little bit better. And then on the alternate blocks that are not the letters, I'm going to use a little bit of light blue to accent. But I'm waiting for the other fabric to come that's a little bit darker. This is 46 count flax, I believe. I've ordered some more 46 count natural, which is just a little bit darker. So I'll wait till that gets here before I work on this anymore. And the pieces that I worked on since my last video. This is Colors of Water, or Die Farben des Wassers, by Der Werkstatt für Historische Stickmuster in Germany. Mine is on 46 count antique white linen. And I made it down here to the 3rd row. Not going to finish this by the end of the year, but I did get a good amount done on it, so that's always nice. Well, I'm using the called for Soie d'Alger Avera Soie threads, and I'm using 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads on the 46 count linen. I worked on Day and Night by Long Dog Samplers. Just a little bit since the last time you saw it. I think I finished the church since I showed it to you last time, maybe. And then started down on these people. Maybe did a little bit more of the border, I can't remember. The bottom is right here. This will turn the corner and come across right here. So I'm close to the bottom at least, and this is about, over to here is about 2/3. So it's not going to make it by the end of the year either, but it was a good amount done on it, so that always makes me happy. I also worked on the new normal a little bit since I last showed it. This is also by Long Dog Samplers. It is a monochromatic piece. I've chosen my own colors. I'll list those in the description box below. I've been working on this section over here. And I'm using sulky 12 weight cottons on 40 count antique white linen. One strand of sulky over 2 fabric threads. Okay, I worked on quite a bit on Peaceable Kingdom. This was a class that I took from Catherine Theron. I believe you have to take the class from her to get the pattern. It comes as a kit in the class. And it has a lot of specialty stitches in it, which is why it's a class. She teaches you how to do all the specialty stitches. I've been working on this over 1 section And I'm really hoping to have it done by the end of the year. Just this over one section. Would love to have that done. And all I have left is the sky. I just need to fill in the sky. And then I think the rest of this will go pretty quick. So the whole thing won't be finished by the end of the year, but at least the over one section will be. And then it will go much faster, I think. Certainly should be finished in the first quarter of 2022. Sorry, I have to keep unrolling forever. Okay, here's the top. Here's the middle. And then I'm down there on the bottom third. I believe Catherine's website is Theron Traditions. And then the other piece that I've spent most of my time on is Autumn Town by Autumn Lane Stitchery. It's stitched on green fabric, so all of the grass is the green fabric, and then you stitch the blue sky. It's a beautiful pattern. I love working on it. I'm using the called for colors. It calls for 2 Glorianas and 2 Gentle Arts, no, Weeks Dye Works. I can't remember. 2 overdyed cotton threads. And one of the Glorianas I couldn't find, the red, so I substituted Cupid, Classic Colorworks Cupid. And then these orange trees were 740, and I changed it to an overdyed Gentle Arts Marmalade. But it's all, this is the bottom right here, so I just have this much to go, and this will be done by the end of this week. It might not be done on New Year's Eve, but it will be done by Saturday. So close. And this has been so fun to work on. I've really enjoyed it. Oh, I was going to tell you about the trees. This is a Gloriana silk called Apricot Grove, and it's the one that has the most different colors in it of all the few overdyeds that are on here. So you can see on this tree here, all these trees, I've just been going back and forth in rows. So it makes a stripy tree. Yellow is an overdyed, the orange I changed to an overdyed, and the red is an overdyed. So the big trees are where the overdyed, oh, and then there's molasses is all these roots. Those are where the overdyed colors are. But then when I got down to this great big tree that is the main thing right in the foreground front, I decided to try a little bit different technique. Since it was going to be such a big tree, those stripes were really going to show, because it's got some green, some orangey rust color, and some yellow in it that it changes. So I did it in 4x4 squares, because I looked up here at these stripes and realized that the colors change about every 16 stitches. It changes to a new color. So I figured if I did a 4x4 square, then all that color would end up kind of in a little spot, and then it would change to the next color, and then it would change to the next color. And I really like how it's turning out. In fact, this tree is finished. I'm working on this red tree right now. So I like how it turned out. But I like the stripy trees too. It was fun to try 2 different ways to see how they differ. That mine is on 40 count Lakeside Linen Pear fabric, and I'm using 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. I think that's all of the things that I've worked on since my last video. So let's talk about 2021 and how I did and what my stats were for 2021. I have a bullet journal that I usually have with me. Like it will be at work with me. I don't carry it around if I'm just going to the doctor's office or something, but I do take it to work every day. It's my main planner. Here's November, and then I have weekly pages after each monthly page. But right in the beginning, at the beginning of every year, I do this page spread. This is a list of every project I started the year with. So all of my whips. This is a list of all the whips I had at the beginning of 2021. And I numbered them. There were 27. And then over here I wrote beginning whip number 27 and listed them all right here. And the date. They're in order of oldest to newest and what the date was when they were started. And then I had a little box over here if I finished them. And I've gone back and highlighted them in this orangey red color if they were finished during 2021. So 5 of those old whips were finished. These M's over here are Mania. These green are Mania from 2019 still. Those are my oldest Mania pieces that I still have, 4 of them. And these orange are Mania pieces from 2020, I believe. So that's why those are marked, because I always try and get those Mania pieces finished and off the list. These 4 oldest from 2019 definitely need to, are going to be focused on this year. And then on this side, I list, I just have an empty box at the beginning of the year that just says starts and another empty box that says finishes. And then throughout the year, I write down everything that I start and everything that I finish. And I don't keep this up the day that I started it. I'll show you the planner that I keep by my stitchy chair, when I'm stitching, and that's where I definitely write down what I worked on that day and if I started something or finished something. So every like 3 months or so, I'll remember to go back in here and update this so that I have it all. So I started 22 projects. I am not counting my New Year's New Day start on here because it's I see it as a beginning of 2022 start, so it's never listed on here. But this is everything I started, 22 pieces, and then this is everything I finished this year, which is only 17. And if I had Autumn Town on there, will be 18. So I believe that leaves me at 31. Might be 30 if I finish Autumn Town. Can't remember if I counted that in my 31. So I ended the year with 31, which is a net loss. I added, even if I finish Autumn Town and that makes it 30, that means I ended the year with 3 more projects than I started, which isn't too bad. I'm okay with that. It was a crazy year. And then in my bullet journal, just so that I have it at work, I also have a copy of my WhipGo board, which I'll show you again in a minute, and my Mania calendar. Just because a lot of times when I'm at work and I have a few minutes downtime, I like to look at it and plan and think about what I'm doing next or what needs to be finished. So those 4 pages, those two-page spreads, I do at the beginning of the year every year and I always have a new bullet journal at the beginning of the year. Those are my stitchy pages in my bullet journal. Okay, this is what I keep next to my stitchy chair. Book of Days by Needlework Press. This is for 2021. It's just a monthly, it's a month spread on each page. This is April. I decorate it with stickers before the month starts. I just cover it all up with stickers. Then it makes me happy every time I open it to record. Here's December. And I write down what I worked on that day. if I'm really organized, I write down how long I worked on it, but I at least write down what I worked on that day. And if I had a finish or a start, I'll write it in capital letters next to it and put a box around it so that I can find them easily as I'm going back through. And then this is where I have my real WIPGO board. WIPGO was started by Jessie Marie Does Stuff. She has a Flosstube channel as well as a Facebook group. And she just encourages you to make a bingo board, put your WIPs that you want to work on this year on it. Put some goals for each piece that you put on here, whether it be time goals or you want a certain part of it finished. And then she calls 2 numbers every month and posts them on the Facebook group, the WIPGO Facebook group. And so those are the 2 numbers. Whatever is on those 2 numbers, you focus on that month. So this was my WIPGO board for 2021. I finished everything but 8 squares. I did not get 8 squares finished, but I did really good and I enjoyed it. And I'm going to do it again for 2022. That was a fun activity. So here is my 2022 book of days. I've already stickered up my January page. And just in one of the pages in the back that I'm not going to use. I think this was the advanced planning page for 2023. I just taped a copy of my WIPGO board over the top of that page, so I had it in here. Most of these are time goals. Those 4 2019 media projects that I really want to finish are on here twice, and then all of the other WIPs that I wanted to make sure I got to this year are on here once. Most of them are time goals. Ones that I really thought I should get a lot done, I made at 20 hours. Ones that I'm having a hard time working on, I made 12 hours. And I'll talk more about when I do that in my rotation. A few of them, the goal is to be finished, and a few of them, I think 1 or 2 of them have a section. I want a certain section done, not just time. And she's already called the numbers for January, and it's 2 and 19, which for me is Arcade by Long Dog Samplers, 12 hours on that this month, and Bumpin' D Night, 20 hours. I have 2 pieces, I think just 2. Bumpin' D Night Farm by Praiseworthy Stitches and Churchyard Christmas by Praiseworthy Stitches. I only work on those during the season. So Bumpin' the Night Farm is like September, October that I work on that, and then Churchyard Christmas, November, December. So I put them on the WIPGO board anyway, knowing that if they got called in a different month, I will just choose a different square to work on this month, and I'll mark it as done but not called yet. And then this one will stay called but not done yet until we get to October, November when I work on it. So I believe I decided to choose my ABC, Prairie Schooler ABC sampler, I guess you call it. And I guess I could show you those 2 to show you where I'm starting with. This is Arcade, R-Kade by Long Dog Samplers. Mine is on 40 count Conifer by Picture This Plus. And this is what I have done so far. My goal for the month of January is 12 hours on this. I'm using a Silks For You hank, 2 different Silks For You hanks, 2 colors. These are the Prairie Schooler charts that look like this. There's Y and Z and ABC. That's just what it's called, ABC. And then there's another one that's DEF. They each have 3 charts in them. I'm doing it all as one big piece. Mine is 1/1 on 28 count cream colored linen. And I have A done, started on B. I did change out that red color to a little bit lighter red that's used later in the alphabet. But I thought the red was really dark in ABC. So those are the 2 whip-go pieces that I'll be focusing on this month in January. Well, I guess that's next month in 2 days. Let's talk about rotation for a minute. Well, okay. The other way I stay organized is I have this magnet board. These are just strip magnets. You can either take you can get them that come in business card size, and I just cut those up with scissors, cut them into strips. Or you can buy magnet it's a strip, but it's on a roll, and I just cut those up into whatever size I want and write on it with a marker. But I have 1 magnet for every whip. These down here are finished magnets. I finished the project, turned it upside down, and I just keep them down here at the bottom because I reuse the magnets. This is Craft Prism, but there's nothing in Craft Prism right now. Yay! These are my 4 full coverage pieces. Autumn Cat by Heaven and Earth Designs, or it might just be called Autumn. A Stitcher's Shelf, Disneyland, and Mini 4 Seasons. These are my class pieces. Most of them are Catherine Theron classes. Kurumi was Anne Striped Kers. An American Sampler was out of a magazine, but it's got a lot of specialty stitches in it, so it's over here with the class pieces. These are pieces that I have to think really hard when I'm working on them, and usually need daylight hours to work on them. These colored blue ones are all Mania projects that aren't done yet. They're right here in the middle. And then this is 2020. Yes, 2020 starts and 2021 starts. And I just use this board to think with my hands, I guess is what you'd call that. Sometimes I'll reorganize it from oldest to newest. Sometimes I'll reorganize it to what I want to get done right away and what can wait. Quite often at the beginning of every month, I'll make a plan of what I want to do that month, and I'll move these around, group them over here. This is what I want to work on this month. Or I'll group them all out into Mania projects or whatever I'm feeling like that day. It helps me touch them and move them around into groups. That helps my brain organize. This is just a metal on the front, cardboard on the back board that I got at Walmart 10 years ago, I think. All right, so my weekly rotation, like I said, I sit down at the beginning of the month and make a plan. I almost always have a daily 30 piece. That's the first 30 minutes that I sit down to stitch. I'll just work on that same piece every day for the first 30 minutes. And it's Lost No More, which is a dimensions kit. The artwork is by Greg Olson. Looks like this. I'm working up here in the tree. I kind of have this half done. Still need to come over here and do the other side. I'm using the kit fabric and the kit floss. Okay. Then on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that will be when I focus on the 2 whip-go pieces that have been called for the month. And then if I finish those 2 before the end of the month, then I will work on either something that's screaming to be worked on or something new that I just started that I'm really excited about. On Tuesdays is going to be my full coverage day. I have 4 full coverage projects, so I'm going to work on 1 per week. And then I'll get through all 4 of them, just for however many hours I can get in on that Tuesday. Thursday is my deadline pieces. So Kingdom of Books is a stitch along with my friend Sharon, and we're doing a half of a book a month. So I need to get that half a book done every month. And then my Home in the Garden is another stitch along piece with several friends. And we're doing a section a month, which I need to finish every month on the 15th. Kingdom of Books is a kit that I got from mybobbin.com. This Russian company right here is Make It With Your Own Hands. We translate it into English. I am using the kit floss, but I am not using the kit fabric. This is it came with 14 count white Aida. I changed to an 18 count overdyed tannish color Aida. And I have 5 books done, and I need to have this book done by Saturday, so I can be caught up. This was November and December, the top half and the bottom half. So that will be one of the pieces that I work on every Thursday to make sure that's caught up for the month. I'm using 2, the kit calls for 3 strands of floss, I believe, on the 14 count Aida. But since I changed since I changed to 18 count Aida, I'm just using 2 strands of floss. And then is Matthews. This is My Home in the Garden by Liz Matthews. And you can see we've divided it into 12 parts by Hello from Liz Matthews. We have finished section 1 and section 2. We need to have section 3 done by January 15th. We're using the called for Gloriana silks. Mine is on 46 count antique white linen. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. Okay, so that's Thursdays. And if I get both of those caught up before the end of the month, then I'll pick one of my really big projects and get some more time put in on that. On Saturdays is when I usually work on those class pieces that have a lot of specialty stitches in them. Right now it's Peaceable Kingdom. And then I work on the full coverage piece again. So whatever piece I picked that week for on Tuesday, I'll work on that piece again on Saturday. Hopefully between these 2 days, I can get about 800 stitches in it during that week. And then Sundays, I just have a different project that I work on every Sunday. I usually have a couple hours in the evening to stitch on Sundays. And I've just chosen Band of Roses sampler by Cross Stitch Antiques, which I could show you that one. Band of Roses, 1845. I'm using the called for DMC, except at the top here, instead of the 823, I substituted a silk that was a very similar color, Soie d'Alger 1416. And then this medium blue is Dinky Dye's Pacific Ocean. Otherwise, it's the called for DMC, and I am down here on the roses, on the Band of Roses. But I think this is what I'm going to work on Sundays for a while. And that's with my friend Linda in California. Oh, and I think that was... So at the beginning of the month, I always have these same categories. Have for a couple of years now. They work really well for me to have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday piece, a Tuesday piece, a Thursday piece. So I'll sit down at the beginning of the month and think about what I want to work on. And then make a plan of how many pieces I want to work on that month, which one specifically in each category. I work full-time. I get home about 4. I'm an empty nester. I work Monday through Friday till about 4. My kids are grown and gone. My husband has a day job as well as a moonlighting business that he started, so he's gone a lot. So I can usually get 4 to 5 hours in before bedtime on a weeknight. A little bit longer on Fridays because I stay up later. And then I can usually I do all my chores Saturday morning, all my shopping, all my house cleaning, all that stuff is Saturday morning. And then Saturday afternoon, I usually sit down and stitch all afternoon and into the evening. So about 8 to 10 hours on Saturday. And then Sundays, I just have a few hours in the evening because I have all my church responsibilities on Sunday. Plus we have a lot of family get-togethers that day. So that's kind of my stitching schedule. All right. If you want to see my whip parade of all of my pieces, that was video number 86. If you want to see my under the bed box, which is a lot of the stuff, all the stuff I've finished but haven't fully finished it yet, that was video number 87. I've changed everything on the wall behind me for kind of a winter spring layout, and not today, but I will do a video another day telling you what the names of all of those are and put it up for you. And I think that's everything. So we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.